you been a canine officer?
Been a canine officer since 2010, so about 5 years.
And you work at Tyler Police Department. Have you worked in any other police department?
No, sir. This is my first one since I got out of the Marine Corps.
And so that's my next one. I understand you're a former Marine. Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it.
And how do you think that helped you in your career as a police officer, if it did?
Well, I look at it this way. When you guys are probably pretty close to 18, when I was 18 years old, I knew there was only one or two places. I tried college and it wasn't for me. So I knew that I wanted to go and be a part of the military. And a funny story is in Tyler, I went to the recruiting office, and the Marines were on one side and the Navy was on the other side. And so I go up there, and this really big fat dude in his dress white, one of the Navy guys, sitting there smoking a cigarette, and asking me if I wanted to travel the world and all that kind of mess. I was like, I guess, whatever. And then so a Marine comes out and asked me if I wanted to be a female anatomy. It starts with a P, or if I wanted to be a man. And so the fat Navy guy walks inside, so it kind of made it clear to me that, that's something that I wanted to do, defy the odds.
Good deal. And did your military service steer you in the direction of police work?
Yes, with the job that I had in the military, I could only do one or two things. As an explosive expert in foreign vehicles, and as a sniper, you can only do that, in so many fields when you get out. So it's pretty limited for me. I mean, you can't be a private contractor, so I knew law enforcement was my thing.
And how hard was it to train your police dog to do its job?
Well, the funny thing is, our dogs come from across the seas. Isis, my new partner, she came from the Czech Republic. So what they do is they bring them up from about 6 months old till they're about a year, and they constantly train them, and they put them through all these tests. And if they passed all those tests, then they're able for the American contractors to fly overseas, look at the dogs, pick them out, and fly them back to the United States. And once they get to the United States, they'll have a period of a couple of months to acclimate, and then also they continue this training process. And if they pass all those training phases, then I can go down there and pick out a dog, and then our training kind of kicks in. But I don't know, probably maybe 6 out of 10 dogs only cut it, and the rest of them are sent back. Once that's done and I have her, then we train every week. Like Tuesdays is our training day for 8 hours with nothing but narcotics tracking and suspect apprehension.
Okay. And let's see. And you're one of 2 canine officers at Tyler PD?
Unfortunately, yes. One of 2. Smith County has 2. White House has 2. True PD has 1. Trying to think. Smith County Precinct 5 has 1. And so I think in Smith County we have 8 dogs total. So we're pretty stacked in the county, but at Tyler PD we only have 2.
And how's it working with a fellow canine officer?
Well, here's the good thing about Steve Black's my partner, and the most important thing is that we share the same faith. Number 2, we share the same hours, and we've worked together so long that I can tell by the tone of his voice when he keys up on the radio to where if he needs me there or not. And so it helps a lot because we kind of flow with one another. And unfortunately, in a lot of departments, you have people that are total opposite, trying to accomplish a common goal, and it makes it difficult.
Okay. And so you already answered that question. What are your dogs trained to do, such as like find bombs, drugs?
My current dog, Isis, she is trained to detect the odor of marijuana, cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, methamphetamines, and so she's keyed in those 5 odors, and she's also a tracking dog, which means like if a suspect takes off running or if someone gets lost or whatever, she can put her nose on the ground and kind of determine which part of that vegetation has been disturbed, and that's how they focus on finding the trail.
Okay. And, in your opinion, how do you think the job of a canine officer differs between a small town like Overton and like a more of a medium-sized town such as Tyler and a large town?
Well, unfortunately, in every town we have our problems. Overton is no stranger to narcotics. Lord knows everybody. We have them here. And it's been said that Overton's the meth capital of East Texas. So, so it's not necessarily based on the population, like where I think Overton maybe has 2,500, to where Tyler has over 100,000, and the Metroplex has a couple of million people. So regardless of the town, you're always going to have your problems. Now, the key factor is the organizational structure of the administration to focus on goals of how can we combat this problem. We recognize it and combat it, and I think that's where a lot of departments differ, whether it's politics, manpower, or whatever the case is.
Okay. And what advice could you give to someone who is interested in pursuing a career as a canine officer?
It's definitely a lot of work. As you can tell with these, it's like having another child. And I say that because the dog requires just as much attention as your own children. And it's not just about loading them up in the back of your car, going, finding the dog, chasing bad guys, and coming home. Because as soon as we get home, I have to let her run around and kind of calm down for about an hour. Then I have to feed her. And then I'm able to go to bed after that. So, sure, 8 hours of fun, chasing the bad guys and stuff like that. But if you can't necessarily add on or take in a child per se, that's probably not for you. A lot of people think that it's just cool just to have a dog, but there's so much more that goes into it. Twice the paperwork, twice the hours. You never get any glory or anything like that. So it's all about, it's like being a preacher. It's a calling.
Yeah.
It's not like you do it for the money because as your dad would tell you, there's none in it.
Yeah.
What does it take to become a police officer, such as training, education, and things like that?
Well, starting at the bottom, of course, you have to graduate high school. You have to have a minimum of, I want to say it's 36 or 38 hours, or 4 years of the active military service.
All right. What are some of the things you like about your job?
Obviously, I love having a dog. Having to take home cars is pretty cool too. And I like the fact that I can go to work and just come home. I don't worry about all the politics. I guess being a street cop has its advantages because we don't have to worry about politics and stuff like that. So for me, that's the biggest point.
What are some of the benefits that go along with your job?
The benefits, obviously the pay. I know Tyler's paid, probably one of the top paid agencies on this side of the state, next to like Dallas PD and a lot of the metroplexes. But as far as like the insurance and stuff like that, with the chaos we have now with all that crap going on, it's actually pretty nice. But the benefits too is a lot of the guys I work with are prior military. So it's kind of like, it's not the same guys that I worked with in the military, but I can come here and a lot of them, we understand how to jive with each other compared to someone who's just a mama's boy that had no idea about it. So it has perks and then it also has its disadvantages too.
What's a normal day like?
Well, I can't really answer that question because every day for me changes. Some days I work days, and at the end of that day shift, then I find out that I have to turn right around and work nights, or vice versa. I work a night shift, turn right around and come in on the day shift. The hours are never the same. They always fluctuate. Everybody wants to see a dog, and in Tyler we have 36 different schools. So, and like in October, drug-free week, everybody wants a dog. There's only 2 of them, so you guys can do the math and figure out how hectic it is. But also being on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and in the trade of narcotics, it's never ending. So it takes a toll on the family. I think you guys know that. But also, it's one of those things you have to weigh it out. Is it worth it? For me, it is because this is something that I want to do for a long time, and if I can make a dent in just one turd's life, it's well worth it. We can't save everybody, you guys know that, but if we can make a difference in just one, then it's worth it.
All right, and for my last question, what do you have to do to stay up with your qualifications and your certifications?
Okay, as far as having ISIS, now in the state of Texas, we're not required to certify with a drug dog. I know we do it annually, once a year, through 2 different agencies. It's kind of like an extra insurance policy for, let's say, if I stop one of you guys and you have a load of coke, and I use my dog, the dog alerts on it, and then I seize your coke, your car, and everything else, and it goes to trial, and the defense attorney's like, well, how is your dog certified? What about all these training records? So then I can whip out my big notebook. Every year I have a notebook about that thick that has every time we ever trained, every time we ever deployed the dog, all of her certifications and stuff like that. So then I can just lay it up there and make him look like an idiot in front of the jury. So there's a lot of things that just for that. Now me individually as an officer, like I have to meet a certain amount of hours every year to keep my license up. I have to qualify 90% or higher with firearms, and the physical fitness and all that stuff is the same pretty much as the military. So you can't just carry a badge and a gun and sit on your butt and look cool and everything's handed to you. That's not how it is. And then also keeping up with the case law regarding the dogs, because case law supersedes any state law, and then also the state law and the case laws from the Supreme Court, whoever, for just officers. So totally separate. So it's like we've got double the amount of work. But in the end, it's all worth it.
I have one more question I just thought of. How is it being a police officer in this time right now with all the politics surrounding the shootings and all that?
Right. It's definitely disheartening, in effect. Because the public perception and the media's perception is if something goes wrong, always it's our fault, and it's more or less like being judged and sentenced before all the facts even come out. And I think we just recently went through that with the Darren Wilson case in Missouri. But it just goes to show that how much power that the media has over the public, because if I start up a lie and I get the media involved with it, then the media basically crucifies you before you can even have a chance to say what's right and what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So for us in law enforcement, it's a huge uphill battle, and so we have to double dot our I's and double cross our T's, because not only do we have to worry about civil liability, but we also have to worry about criminal liability, and we also have to worry about the city's liability, because we basically represent the city. Mm-hmm. And God forbid something happens, then we have to worry about our own liability with our families and our homes. So it's a huge hurdle, and I don't think it'll ever get any better. It's only going to get worse.
Okay, that's all my questions.